Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Trendy LPC, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. I appreciate all the love and the feedback that I've been receiving from the previous episodes. That last episode, it was absolutely amazing. All the stuff that you guys said about it, it was just so great to get your feedback and your comments. And this week's episode is not going to disappoint as well. I have a very, very special guest with me today. She is the owner of Cherishing Life Beginnings. She is a doula. She is a coach, educator. She's a mother of 5, just a all-around dope spiritual being. She is going to be blessing you guys and sharing so much with you guys about the birthing process. She is an educator, as I said, and so she's going to share some tips, and we're really going to dive into what it truly means to be a doula, what it means to be able to prepare for giving birth and bringing life into this world. So without further ado, please welcome to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast, Doula Ife. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing, Doula Ife?
I am doing well. Thank you so very much for having me, Queen.
Awesome, Queen. I'm so grateful that you're here. I've really been looking forward to this interview and really being able to learn a little bit more about your journey. I know I've been following you on social media for a while and just really kind of seeing you blossom into this person that you've become. And it's so amazing to see your journey. And thank you for sharing that. And I really look forward to with you sharing those things about yourself with the audience. So do you mind just kind of introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about who you are, what you do? Like, you have an amazing story, and I just really want them to be able to be blessed by it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so very much. Again, my name is Doula Ife. Most people in the family in LaGrange know me as Latala Cofield, but I have adopted my name when I went to Africa. So I've adopted Ife Adebowale. So that's where that name comes from.
Okay.
But to tell you more about myself, I am the owner and founder of Cherishing Life Beginnings, Doula and Birth Educational Services. I am also the founder of a nonprofit that we just began, Cherishing Life Beginnings Doula Birth Academy. And basically, just to give you guys a bit more about the specialties that I possess or own.
Okay.
I am a certified birth and postpartum doula. I am a childbirth educator. I am also a doula and birth postpartum trainer. So I train women in the community to become doulas, as well as guide them on their way to creating their own businesses through entrepreneurship.
Oh, wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
I am a breastfeeding specialist, as well as a womb wellness specialist. I created Cherishing Life Beginnings in 2015 out of the need and necessity of needing BIPOC or Black, Indigenous, and people of color birth attendants in a home birth setting. In 2015, of course, it's kind of a trend now with home birth, but in 2015, there were nobody talking about home births. And because of my birth trauma that I experienced with my third child, I told myself that if I ever had another child again, that I would find a way to have my child at home. It came around in 2015, and the beauty of this was that I had hired a midwife, but she wasn't there, and the ancestor spirit told me to learn everything that I could. So me and my ex-husband now, we had a unassisted home birth, and experiencing that compared to what I did in the hospital setting, I knew that this was something that I wanted to bring to my community and to show other women how to do, what is necessary on their own, opposed to having to go to the hospital because of the high infant mortality rates that are currently in our communities. So that's how Cherishing Life Beginnings was conceived, out of the need because of my own personal traumatic experience in the hospital.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think that that's something that people definitely need to hear about, because I know that the rates, if I'm not mistaken, the rates for African-American women or BIPOC women of death and mortality is really, really high when it comes to childbirth just in general. And so it sounds like what you do helps kind of reduce some of that risk. Did I read that correctly?
That is correct. What we are in the business of doing, of course, we want to, in a home birth setting, you have to actually get the minds proper, because we are so used to going to the hospital and having someone to tell us how to do things. When you're in a home birth setting, it's some guidelines, some rules that you have to follow. And unfortunately, because it's a trend right now, although any woman can birth a baby on their own, you have to have the knowledge behind it. You just can't go into it nilly-willy. And that's kind of the effed up part about this.
Yeah.
And I know we'll dive into that. But yes,
definitely.
That's what we're in the business of, taking women out of the hospital, because hospitals is for sickness. Birth is spiritual. It's not a sickness or a traumatic event that's supposed to happen. This is supposed to be something that is spiritual, something that is, a joyful event, because you are bringing life into this realm. So we're taking what's currently the traumatic aspect of childbirth, whether it's in a hospital setting or not, and we're trying to bring back, or, our lineage, our ancestral possessions of what we do as birth workers.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. I think that it is, you mentioned that it has become more of a trendy thing to do. And you kind of already spoke a little bit to the role of a doula and kind of what they do, but can you dive a little bit deeper for us, just to kind of help the audience better understand like what that actually looks like any type of certification or training or background that you have to go through in order to become a doula?
Okay. So first of all, I want to let people know that most moms, sisters, friends that are a part of the birth experience, they're already doulas and don't even realize it. But what is a doula? A doula is basically a woman servant. She is basically the woman that will educate you. She will advocate for you if you're in a hospital setting. She provides you with all the resources that are necessary for you to make, excuse me, I'm sorry about that, for you to make informed decisions on your birth and your laboring. She is basically the go-to woman throughout pregnancy, labor, and delivery to provide you all the knowledge that you need. During labor and delivery, she actually provides comfort measures. Now, I want people to understand that a doula is not a medical professional. She does not work with fetal Dopplers. She doesn't take vitals, anything of that nature. I know people look at me and see my work. I'm actually a traditional midwife. I'm still a student, but I'm a traditional midwife. So some of the things that guys see me doing online as far as catching babies, that's not what a doula does. That's what a midwife does. A doula is actually the individual that just educates, provides comfort, empowers, and provides resources and knowledge to the mother throughout her pregnancy and postpartum.
Gotcha. So what's the difference between, I kind of am reading in between the lines there, but what's the difference between a midwife and a doula for those that may not understand the difference?
So to start off, the midwife is there to ensure the well-being of the mother and the baby. She checks the vitals during labor and delivery. She catches the baby. Now, you can look at the doula as kind of the midwife's birth assistant. She's there to be able to provide, once the doula has come in, done vitals and everything, says the mother earths, the midwife says, well, this mother isn't eating properly. The doula will actually be the one to come in, sit down with the mother, go over her nutrition plan, create a plan for her in order for her to get on a good health regimen. This is what your doula does. She prepares the mother. She educates the mother. She empowers the mother. But like I said, she's not the medical professional. The midwife is. The midwife handles the mother and the baby medical necessities. The doula provides the education.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because I don't think I actually knew the difference between the two of those myself. So that's definitely very helpful to know. So I know that, everyone has their different style when it comes to what they do. And I know you're very connected, as you said, to the ancestors and your spirituality being a big part of why you do what you do. What's your style as a doula?
Well, as far as me, with my style, I try to connect with mothers on their levels.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, I'm just going to be very blunt with it. For example, if a mother just, when she comes into it, she eats terrible. She doesn't eat healthy. She wants to have a home birth.
Okay.
She might smoke a little marijuana. My being is to come in and assist this mother as she is. Now,
Gotcha.
of course, I'm going to work on the mother to try to get her up in the optimal position of health, being able to birth her child the way that she wants to. That's my style. Now, you have a lot of doulas and midwives. They will not work with you if you're not what they see as the ideal candidate.
Okay.
I take you as you are and try to build you up, opposed to not taking you at all and making you feel down. So
Gotcha.
I would say that's my style, as well as the spiritual aspect of it. Because again, as I stated earlier, birth is not a sickness. And that's kind of how it's put on from a hospital aspect. You go into the hospital, you have to take all these medications. They put you on IVs to keep things going. It's like a sickness. But when you're in a home setting, you get to move around the way you need to. You can eat, you can flow in your own essence. And that's what birth is all about. Connecting with your own personal essence, your body and baby. And when you're outside of that, you can't produce what it is that you're trying to. So in a nutshell, my style is meeting a mother where she is, as well as bringing the spiritual aspect back into it.
Gotcha. Wow. So it kind of comes off to me, if I were to relate it to what I do as a therapist, like the humanistic approach, meeting the person where they are, giving that unconditional positive regard, and really being able to connect and be authentic with that person. So I think that's amazing. It's unfortunate that some people maybe don't take that approach, because it seems like it limits people who maybe aren't a great candidate, because I know I wouldn't be a great candidate because I eat like crap and all kind of issues or whatever. But I mean, it's good that there are people like you who are willing to kind of go to that person's level and help bring them up. It almost, to me, sounds like a doula is a life coach for birthing, like, or prepare for motherhood. So
that's a perfect description of what it is. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So I like that way of looking at it. And I think that it's very necessary within our community, especially going back to what we spoke about earlier, as far as like the death rates and things of that nature. You mentioned when I first reached out to you about being on the show, you mentioned, you wanted to talk about how we have this whole idea of birthing self-aware and effed up, that whole process. Can you speak more to that? What you think is so effed up about the birthing process and how we do things?
Yes. Well, the first thing is we don't quite understand where everything began. At this present time, we are in a technological world. We're on our phones, we're on Google, we can find everything out there. So we feel that we don't necessarily need that professionalism or that extra voice or that extra knowledge, because we feel like we can go to Google University and look it up and I'm proficient in everything.
Right.
So that's kind of the messed up part of it, because we haven't really taken birth and broken it down and understood where we came from. Less than 50 years ago, most of our births were in the home setting. We don't understand what happened as to why now there's only 1% of home births. And the messed up part is, if you really go in and dig into it, back in the between the 40s and 60s, a propaganda was set out to basically get the white coats in, the obstetricianists and the gynecologists to take over the birth world.
Oh, wow.
You had all your spiritual healers. You had your granny midwives, you had your wet nurses, and we're talking about us, and basically what they did was they took the birth aspect of everything from us. We taught them everything, and they took that from up under us and put it up under them, and made us actually go back and have to formally get education in order to practice something that we actually created. Wow. So in the essence of that, not understanding that background, moving forward to today, you have everybody just goes to the hospital. Nobody really wants to take the time to actually dig into their own self and learn about their nutrition. Instead, they rather eat all they want to eat, end up with gestational diabetes, end up with preeclampsia because of their health. And they go back to the doctor like, what's wrong with me? So it's like we found that home births are cool. So now it's a trend. So now everybody's on it. But the messed up part about it, or the effed up part about it, is nobody is going back. Nobody is Sankofa, reaching back, learning about what it was, what we did, why we're here today, why those numbers are so large. We just want to jump on a bandwagon and be like, well, I'm going to birth my baby at home. And I don't need nobody to do it. So in that aspect, that's the effed up part about it, because you have the doulas out here ready and willing to give the information. They see the prices and they're like, I don't know. But, they end up calling you back like, I should have went with you, this and that. So it's a lot, girl, but that's just a little bit of the aspect of, the self-awareness. The ancestors are in us. They're waking us up. So that's why we're going towards these home births, but we're not awake enough to understand everything behind it, why the ancestors are waking you up. They want you to learn this. They want you to teach this to your children. They want you and your community to understand birth, because in a world that we're living in today, hey, you never know. It might not be access to the hospitals, and who's going to deliver the babies in? So I just think it's bigger than what we see. The trend is cool, but it's effed up, because if you don't know where you came from, you're doomed to repeat. Trying to get there. So
absolutely. And you just educated me on a lot as far as like just the history of things going from being a certain way. Because as you were speaking, I went to like Gone with the Wind. I like that movie Gone with the Wind, and the girl, I know everything about birth and babies, and like that piece of us pretty much nursing and doing all of this, like going back to slavery, like us being the caregivers to people, helping people deliver their children, and then seeing you talk about, or hearing you talk about how it shifted. It was kind of taken away. Almost, it sounds like just the financial aspect of it. We're going to take you being able to do something so that we can do it and charge people money for it. And then also, it's fucked up because we do have people that are dying, Black women especially, during childbirth. And so it's really good to hear the history there. And you spoke a lot about the ancestral piece of it. How did you get so connected to your ancestral roots?
Well, it was a personal journey. I've always been connected, even as a child. I spoke to the skies. I studied the clouds. I've always been into stones and crystals. And I remember being a little girl doing the pen pal, having Africans as friends, as a little kid doing pen pals. And all of that as a kid just kind of grew with me more. And I grew up in the church. So what's interesting is I had this aspect of me, and you have the church, religion. And I always used to question and question and question, and nobody could ever answer. So once I was able to get outside of that, and actually be able to go out and study different spiritualities and religions on my own, I found that in essence, everything is connected. So from there, I just kind of began to learn everything that I could. And I took from different spiritualities and religions to begin my spiritual journey that I'm currently on.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, been a beautiful thing to see your growth in your spirituality and just being able to become your authentic self. Because a lot of us, we kind of struggle. That you mentioned the church piece, and growing up Southern Baptist, especially in LaGrange, that connection, and being spirituality and exploring things like crystals and sage and all of that thing being looked at as witchcraft, and me going through that journey
That's
of like,
exactly what they look at me too.
it's like, I'm like, okay, I got all my crystals around me right now on my desk. And it's like, okay, I think it takes a lot for us to break away from that. And, I'm not sure if you've seen any of the episodes about just that Christian walk that a lot of people are on that really has them in bondage and not being able to be free and connected. And when you say that it's all connected, and I think it's important for us to all be able to kind of explore that. I'm not saying, that there's no place for Christianity, because I don't judge people based on what they believe, but at the same time, there's more than just that. And when it comes to going back to the motherland, we that's a whole nother topic about how we were taken and given this versus our own spiritual connectedness to our land there. So I'm just so proud of you and your journey as it relates to that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but going back to just kind of the essence of what you do as a doula, I know you said some people, they see your prices and they be like, nah, I don't want to do that when my bank account is set up. But when it comes to other challenges, what are some of those other challenging things about your line of work and the experiences that you face when you're working with people?
I think the biggest challenge that I face currently, and I would like to say I can speak for other doulas as well, is trying to get our mothers to understand the nutritional aspect of childbirth. We are what we eat, literally. When we, carry a child, we're growing and develop that child. Once the baby gets here, earthside, breastfeeding that child literally consumes everything that we ingest in our bodies, and even from the womb. So, mothers, they get pregnant and they automatically assume they can eat for two, which is a myth, because a mother should only consume an additional 200 to 350 calories, in addition to the 2,000 calories that they should consume. So, you have these mothers that are out here, they just eat whatever they want to eat. They really don't focus and concentrate on the importance of what they're feeding themselves, and that is feeding their babies. So dealing with the nutritional aspect when it comes to mothers, and them not understanding, this is where the gestational diabetes is coming from. This is where the preeclampsia is coming from. This is where all the different health complications are coming from, stemming from nutrition. So that would be the hardest aspect. The second would be our community understanding the worth of a doula. Because again, we pay for what we want. We'll go out and spend $200, $250 on a pair of J's, but you have a problem, paying $700 to have a doula present, and to be able to work and aid you throughout your labor and delivery. We'll spend thousands of dollars on baby showers and gender reveals, but we are hesitant to spend $1,000 on a doula that's going to provide you with a breastfeeding counselor to be able to assist you after you have baby and may have breastfeeding issues. So that's one of the biggest aspects, our community understanding the importance and the worth of a doula.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, honestly, I don't know if those are accurate prices, but that sounds pretty reasonable comparatively speaking to what you would pay if you went to give birth and your insurance didn't cover it, or if you're throwing away $200 on J's. I wouldn't dare do that. But if you're doing that, it doesn't seem like a high investment. And it sounds like you would definitely get a lot of return on investment as far as what you're putting in and what you're getting back. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but I think that just kind of speaks to the mindset of a lot of people when it comes to the things that they value, because it seems like you do very valuable work. So what are other things that you wish people knew about being a doula or about that experience in your field?
Well, one thing that I want people to understand is that, as doulas, our priority and job is the family. Whether it's the mother, making sure the father knows what needs to be done in order to assist the mother, aiding and guiding the children throughout the process. Our priority is the family. But it is also important to understand, because I, as well as a few of my colleague doulas, have had issues with mothers that we contract with. We fulfill our contracts, we are the doulas. We have created a camaraderie relationship. So we continuously, stay connected with the family. But it's important for families to understand that we have families as well. And outside of what we give contractually and the connection outside of that, we can't always be or provide the service outside of that. So it's important to me to begin to build a community around that. So if that specific doula is busy with her family or just does not have time to be able to piggyback, once contracts are filled and just want to be friends, family, and moving forward, we actually have a community that can support these mothers and families that need that additional, that may not necessarily have the funds to pay for a postpartum doula or an overnight doula to be able to assist. So I just think it's very important for the community to begin to come together, that village that we used to have back in the day, to be able to assist those where they need to be assisted. So much pressure is not put on the doula because the doula has a family as well. So,
wow. Okay. Well, definitely thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that will be helpful for people to understand, because I don't think I even thought about that connection outside of the contract itself. Like, as a therapist, my clients can reach out to me after sessions or in between sessions and things of that nature, because it is ongoing until we terminate. But yeah, the access to you after you fulfilled your end of the deal, I could see that being something that could be problematic or taken, negatively by the client. But thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared with us. Like, there's a lot of great information. So do you have any events or anything like that going on? Anything that, people could do to connect with you? I just want to make sure that people know how to reach you and know how to, obtain your services. So what you got going on?
Okay, so yes, first of all, I do. I would like to mention our upcoming event that we have October the 1st. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. I'm tripping over my tongue. But we have an event October the 1st called Ancestral Starseed Celebration. And this is in memoir of Pregnancy and Infant Awareness Loss Month. And basically this event is to cater to the community of families and mothers that have lost children, whether they were stillborn or whether they made it earthside and they passed, for example, due to SIDS. So we're going to take this day out to celebrate. It's going to be spiritual. We're going to have music, dance. We're going to, have food, and we're going to have amazing speakers that actually have gone through experiences of this nature, to be able to pour back into these families so that they know they're not alone, so that they know that it is light after such a traumatic experience. So that is October the 1st. Okay. That is going to be held you can find the information on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Doula Ife Adebowale. I do provide information out there. My business page is Cherishing Life Beginnings, and I provide the information out there. You can also you can learn more about what we do at our business website, www.cherishinglifebeginnings.com. And again, if you go on Facebook, you will see the advertisements, you will see the flyers. But again, that information is also on the website.
Okay. All right. So they got a lot of great ways to connect with you. All of Ife's information will be in the description of this episode, so you guys can click the links down below when you're listening to the episode to be able to connect with her. I definitely want you guys to check out that event. It sounds like it's going to be something that's super amazing. Ife, thank you so much for all that you do. Like I said, it's been a pleasure to watch your journey, and I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be a part of the Self-Aware and Effed Up Family podcast. So I definitely appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience before we end?
Well, I just want to tell you, thank you for having me and speaking with me. I definitely appreciate the love, Queen. And just to let everybody know, we are here in Columbus, Georgia. We have student doulas. If you are looking for a doula and may not be able to afford, prices from other doulas, we do have student doulas that are here ready to serve for, little of nothing or donation based. So if you're looking for a doula, please do reach out to us and we will take care of you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate you speaking with the audience and really being able to share a little bit about your story as well as what you do in this amazing work that you're able to help other women through as they are bringing their children earthside, as you said, if I may borrow that. So thank you so much, guys. Make sure you guys tune in, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you also follow me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and take care of your mental health.